Am I good, Jose?
Yeah.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thanks Almighty! We are free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry, and as always, I'm so honored and humbled to have you with us today. And let's get this show on the road. It's Thursday, a special edition for the Alan Autry, No Retreat Show. We're going to talk sports for most of the day, but you start off talking sports, you talk about politics. Did you see where the NBA folks met? With me, by the way, as was me yesterday, is Larry Powell, Matt White. So happy to have you guys with us. Welcome. And how about you guys saying just a wonderful pleasure, highlight of your life to be with me? I get nothing. I get no response.
This is a dream
the Alan
come true.
Autry Show?
This is
Is this? Yeah, right?
I made a wrong turn.
A lot of people thinking, wish you wouldn't. But did you a lot of sports to talk about? But you see now where the NBA, they've reduced the protocols if you get infected with Omicron or I guess any other virus. But it seems like the Omicron is out there doing its thing from 10 days to only 5 days. Matt, a wise and wondrous one, what does that say to you? Give us your thoughts.
Well, isn't this supposed to be the most deadly virus in history?
If you
and
listen to CNN.
and now we're planning on shutting down our country again, enforcing mask mandates again here in California. And now you've reduced it to 5 days. I think they're in serious trouble here. I don't know about this. And sense the sarcasm. No, I'm not serious for the Facebook. You know,
you got your tongue so far in that cheek right now. It's going to have to just surgically remove it. Larry, 10 days to 5. Didn't they from the get-go overdo this thing? 14 days when the original COVID. I mean, nobody is infectious for 14 freaking days.
Well, it's
yet they traumatized a country, in particular our youth, by putting you away like some leper for 14 days.
Well, it's like using a slide rule in computer days, so it just doesn't compute. It's really interesting too. When the protocol costs certain people money, it's easy to reduce the protocol.
I.e. the NBA.
Yes.
We want to see LeBron. He's in protocol for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
he's going to miss the 3 road games in New York.
Yeah, we'll change that.
Or Steph Curry. Yeah, we're going to change that. Yeah. And also when all these flights get canceled.
Ooh.
Because you have this mandate out there and these crazy things. But
5,000 on Christmas Eve?
Well, you know what? I'm still saying this is my story and I'm sticking to it. Until something changed, I've felt a whole new level of peace. And Matt had a lot to do with it in his take yesterday, talking about the Omicron. I'm going to buy in to the Matt White theory that the Omicron is going to be a blessing, basically, because of its transmissibility. And thank God for its minor effects that it appears. We have enough data in. There's been enough infections around the entire globe, and with very, very few hospitalizations.
Very short duration.
Yes, short duration.
Yep.
And the symptoms. It's being described by a lot of people as a head cold, and not even a bad head cold. I've had a bad head cold and not so bad. So I'm just going to do something really unusual in the media. I'm going to tell people, you know what? I'm going to lay it out there. Don't worry.
Be happy.
Be happy. Hell, you just had to say it. I knew you were going to come in.
I know.
But you
beat me to it.
Yes. But yes, a big yes to that. Don't worry. Be happy this is what it is, and go about your life. I'm seeing businesses not shut down. Thank goodness for the NBA, which just served like plebeians to the federal government, did everything that they said, way beyond what they should. The NFL did the same thing, starting to wise up, starting to lead the way, kind of like the UFC did coming back from the original COVID. Dana White and the UFC of all sports.
I met that guy the other day.
Yeah,
Great guy.
Out of all, they were the sport that says, you know what, we're coming back live. We're going to do the testing. Now it looks like the NFL and the NBA. So
we need more Dana Whites in more athletics. I know Roger Goodell is not liked by many in the NFL, and I think we need more people in the athletic world like Dana White. They're like, hey, we're not going to take the BS. We're going to move forward. We're going to keep doing things, especially like in something like UFC. We're having 14-day protocols for NBA and then NFL.
Oh my!
And we're still playing. If this is supposed to be a deadly virus, then why are we playing? There's blood, sweat, tears on the field, you know. And we're putting all these restrictions in.
So well, the NFL now stands for no Fauci lies.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a little take on what the NFL meant to me when I played there. It stood for not for long.
Yeah.
Oh.
But all right, let's move on here to I don't want to call it tragic what happened yesterday in the passing of John Madden. He lived a full life, died at 85. We were talking yesterday on the show off air of the impact he made on folks of Larry and I's age, and as a coach, and on Matt as a sports announcer. That's who they remember mostly.
And video games,
and
really,
the video games. But what do you think his legacy is? Because it feels it's always not good when you have someone that you know in the sports world pass on, but then certain ones hit you deeper, it seems like, and this is one of those. Yep. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are more sad about his passing?
Probably because he was the common man. Everybody could relate to him. You didn't have to be highfalutin in football. You didn't have to be a coach to understand it. You could be the common man sitting in a living room, and it was like John Madden was sitting right next to you and making commentary.
Ain't that the truth?
And it was so good because some of the things he said, let me share one of them with you.
Yes.
And it sounds like some of the things my dad might have said. When you're playing good football, it's good football. And if you don't have good football, then you're not really playing good football. I mean, that was fantastic stuff, and you never knew what he was going to say. And I loved his Thanksgiving games. Because on those Thanksgiving Day games with the turkey with 6 legs,
yes, a
leg for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, I would almost put John Madden to the football world as Rush Limbaugh was to talk radio. Bigger than life personality.
Very interesting analogy.
Yeah, just
good job.
And the common man. People listen to Rush Limbaugh because it was the common sense take.
Yeah, he was
understood
saying things everybody else was saying.
Yeah, and it always
him saying.
Yeah, and John Madden, his father told him that if you ever start working, you're going to work the rest of your life. And he said, I just never stopped playing. That's something that Madden had talked about. And I think I always remember Rush Limbaugh was, hey, we're here. I'm having more fun than a human can have possible on the radio. So that was like Madden on television.
Says he never worked a day in his life.
Yep.
That's one of his quotes.
He said he went from playing football to coaching football to broadcasting.
Yeah.
And he never...
doing video games.
I wonder if he played the game.
Oh, I'm sure he did not.
I bet he didn't. No.
I think
he tried.
I think it was interesting. I heard some stuff on him. He would actually have those long recording. And I know Larry was talking about it right before some of those quotes. They're like, that's good football. And the team that scores the most points wins the game. But those are a lot of the Madden type quotes in the game where he would have to sit down for hours and hours to talk about
Little Yogi Berries.
Oh, absolutely. When you come to the fork of the road, take it.
Yeah.
Now, what people didn't understand is the fork led to the same place. So,
I like one of my favorite Yogi Bears is he's talking about a restaurant. They were all going to go to this restaurant in New York. And Yogi Bear goes, he says, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. And then there's Jerry Coleman. There's some Coleman, nice little euphemisms. He'd say, Jerry Coleman, announcer for the San Diego Padres, famously said, when a guy hit a double, he goes, he slides into second with a stand-up double. But Madden, gosh, what a unique character. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Larry.
Yeah.
He was so relatable. And
Very much.
Women loved him.
Everybody
loved him. You hear women talking about
he was the everyday guy. Really was.
People talk about his reluctance to fly in the airplane. He would take a train or the bus. I always thought about it when he went from Oakland to like New York. When did he have to leave? He took
it's 72 hours.
Yeah.
My friends in college decided to take a trip across the country. They're never riding trains again, but it's a 72-hour train ride from here to New York.
And he
took his bus, had his driver, and
eventually upgraded to the bus. That thing was cherried out. Al Davis made sure he probably had a queen-size bed in there.
You know it.
But a common belief of Madden about Madden and that reluctance for him to fly was they felt it was a fear born out of the plane crash at Cal Poly. He went to Cal Poly University, not far from here in Fresno, and he was supposed to be on that flight, I guess.
Wow.
And gave up his seat for whatever some circumstances he was on the flight. And so the legend started to grow that he was just so scared to get on an airplane. And for whatever reason, he didn't address it until way later. And he says, that's absolutely false. He says, I don't ride on the airplane because I'm extremely claustrophobic.
Claustrophobic, yeah.
And which I think was interesting. For years, I heard that story about him being afraid.
Yep.
And he just says, no. He says that had nothing to do with it. And being claustrophobic myself, it doesn't get better with age, I'm telling you. I'm one of those guys, I can't even sleep in a bed with the sheets tucked in on my feet. I got to get those sheets out and everything. I don't, no, really. And so I get John Madden. But, yeah, there's a big hole in the sports world there that, but we just got to be.
Well, can you think of anybody who did not like him?
No.
I've never heard one negative word about him. And I've been a Raider fan since the 1960s when Flores was there, because Flores is from Sanger, Tom Flores, who just got put in the Hall of Fame. And
way late.
My dad graduated Sanger High, and I taught there for 14 years. So Flores Stadium was a big thing, and we've known for years as the first really big name Hispanic, Super Bowl rings as a coach, as a player, so many different things. He set so many firsts. He should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah,
great guy.
Yeah, you talk about man. Everybody liked him. I hated the Raiders growing up ever since I could remember. I just despised them. I thought they were just a bunch of thugs out there. And unfortunately, I haven't changed my opinion much. They have some players on there now that, it's starting to change a little bit. But when Al Davis was there, it really was just win, baby.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do off the field, what you've done in your life, even how you conducted yourself on the field, unless you won. It's about winning. And that sometimes you can take that concept too far, and I think the Raiders did in many cases. But when I was with the Packers, we picked up a quarterback named Don Millan, who was at Oakland, played behind Kenny Stabler. So he was a Don Millan, great guy.
He wore a visor, right? I'm trying to remember.
Who's that?
Don Millan. Maybe I'm just mistaken.
I don't think you're too young.
Well, no,
I'm a real trivia expert.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking back because I collected cards for many years when I was younger. So I was like a card collector. I was like the football nerd.
You might know.
Yeah,
Don
I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, because he played. They got picked up on waivers. We didn't trade for him, but I played behind him for a year. But I asked him how it was with the Raiders, and I asked him specifically about that. And he said, Carlos, my real name's Carlos Allen Autry. Carlos back then, like Carlos Brown. That's another whole show that we'll get to someday. Because you talk about theories that are off the charts about why I'm Allen Autry, go by Allen Autry and not Carlos Brown. That I'll set the record straight soon on that.
Now, Millan went to Cal Poly, too.
Millan did go to Cal Poly.
Yeah.
But he said that John Madden was just a great guy. He said literally everybody wanted to play for him. And, you know, when you get a coach gets carried off the field twice after big games, after they won
and your lineman.
Right, your lineman. Exactly. When they beat the Miami Dolphins, when Stabler threw that pass as he was going down, they didn't carry Stabler off. They didn't carry the running back who caught it off. They carried Madden. Then when they went on to win the Super Bowl against the Minnesota Vikings, I think it was Super Bowl 11.
Yep.
That's a long time. They carried old John Madden off, and coaches just don't get carried off the field anymore. You don't see that players.
They get run off the field, but they don't get carried off.
Into themselves and everything. But anyway, John Madden will be missed. Let's go on. Let's shift gears here. We're going to take a break. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the college playoffs, which are tomorrow. They start tomorrow. And thank goodness it's not an all-SEC college playoff.
Amen to that.
You got some SEC teams in there, but it's not all SEC. You got the Big Ten, and you got, I think, the ACC. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll be back with Larry and Matt. Don't you go away.
Yeah, I remember his Hall of Fame speech. You know, you were talking about carrying off the field, and it talked about...
We'll save that right now. We're going to come right back. Yeah. Let's go right back, Jose. Are we on Facebook?
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Oh, I love that poke salad, man. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat, back with Larry Powell and Matt White. We're talking sports today, and particularly John Madden, but we're going to get on to the playoffs, college playoffs, which will be tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. I think we have 4 really good teams. Diverse conferences represented, although you have 2 from the SEC. But, Matt, during the break, you were talking about John Madden. Final thoughts on Madden that you wanted to talk. You had
noted that the coach usually doesn't get carried off the field, and during his
he's a big boy too.
Yeah, no, big guy, and they talk about it in his Hall of Fame inauguration speech. He talked about how that all of the stuff, the accumulation of his career, that people he had got carried into the Hall of Fame, just a different element of his life from being a player to a coach to a broadcaster, and just kind of a full thing. And I think it was kind of neat. He goes, I think at night, I feel like all the busts, they talk to each other at night. And now I think as he raised to rest now, it's just kind of that final. And I believe there's even a documentary that just was released
Christmas Day.
So It was just the timing of everything. I think the fact that he just passed away peacefully is just one of the legends of the game. And yeah, I mean, it's somebody that we got to remember, and we'll see what happens if he's the name of an award or something like that later on.
It's always good to remember the good guys.
Isn't it though?
Definitely.
Amen.
A good guy.
A feel-good feeling, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we could go on and on about John Madden, and not only the great coach he was, just the character, and final thought for me, kind of exemplified, I think, what John Madden was all about. When he would pick his all Madden team, it wasn't about who had the most stats, who threw the most touchdowns, or had the most rushing yards or receiving yards. It was your commitment to victory, your toughness. Could you hang in there and do the unsung stuff that nobody saw as a fullback? And were you willing to stick your nose into that middle linebacker's chest so your running back can go win and get all the glory?
Yeah.
And you would get nothing but your mama saying, "Good job, son." Nobody else was going to say that. He always looked for players like that, didn't he, Larry? And everybody wanted to be on the Madden team.
They wanted to be on that team. Yes. I'm telling you, if your career was marked by being on the all Madden team.
Oh,
so
that was an elevated honor that was way above. And I just love that when it's all Madden, and you could tell he looked forward to that, because he looked forward to talking about why I'm picking this individual. He'd have the snippets there. Here's why.
Yeah.
And you left going, man, that is one tough.
Well, one last quote. When a player runs, he moves faster.
Oh, I love it. There we go.
Was that John Madden?
That's one of John Madden's.
We can go on. Okay. My question to you, Matt, again, you sports wizard, you who loved sports before you got into politics. Why would you ever make that change? Why would you ever dabble? I know you love your country. I get it. So, okay. Does Cincinnati have a any chance at all of beating the big, bad Crimson Tide out of Alabama.
And honestly, I think this is where we kind of have to have the hot takes because everybody's kind of picking Bama. I think we have, a 17-point spread for them, at least in terms of the favorites, 2 touchdown favorites.
Is it 17?
I believe it's Bama.
I'm being a gambling man. I may have to make, excuse me, I got to make a phone call real quick here. How do you down in DraftKings? Go ahead.
Yeah, and
17.5 points.
Yeah, they believe. Yeah, no, it's not going to be at least close from whatever the experts are. But I'm an underdog guy. I know we have the underdog story out with Kurt Warner. I'm a Rams fan. You know, grocery store to NFL
You
star.
were a Rams fan?
Yeah, I'm a Rams fan.
You know, I was with the Rams.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
In 1978.
Wow.
You check it out. Yeah, I got a picture. I had a perm.
Oh, really?
I went to Hollywood. I just got cut by the back. Went to Hollywood. Got my hair permed. Yeah, I had one of those picks. Pick the hair out. I'll send you. I'll take a little picture of it.
Is that an overnight duration?
No,
I don't have to bring it up on
about
Facebook.
3 years.
3 years.
I had the old medallion at the discos hanging down
man.
with the old pirate shirt.
I learn more about you every day.
But they
Alan.
had Pat Hayden was there, Vince Ferragamo,
Yep.
and Brian Dowling. So you had Pat Hayden, a Rhodes Scholar, Vince Ferragamo studying to be a doctor. Brian Dowling was a Yale graduate, and me. Those 3 guys were in the back room building an atomic bomb, and I'm looking at my playbook trying to understand what a Z-post meant. But yeah, I was in them. Had the best preseason I ever had. But go ahead. Enough about me. Let you talk about me.
So, and I'm just going to take, I think, just out of the pure underdog, I think I'm just going to take Cincinnati just because of their defense. And maybe their odds aren't the best, but I believe in the any given Sunday. I'm very optimistic about teams. And I loved what Coach Luke Fickell said this week. He said, people are like, Luke Fickell's the head coach.
Just for details.
Yeah. So
he
did a press conference and everybody's like, so how do you feel about being 17-point underdogs? How do you guys feel about this? And he goes, no, he's all about proving everybody wrong. And he goes, no, we just got to prove ourselves right. We played good football all year. And that stuck with me during the presser this week.
You know, those odds makers, it's uncanny
how good
they are. But every once in a while, they miss it. And I picked Dustin Poirier to beat Conor McGregor. And I thought it was just it was absolute certainty in my mind, just analyzing it. But so they get it wrong every once in a while. But I think Cincinnati is just, they have too much. They have a strong defense. They have a very good mobile quarterback. They have good running backs, good receivers. In Alabama, to me, as good as they are, they're not as good as they've been in the past. I think Cincinnati's got a real shot.
Yeah, and I think you talk about the defense and 2 players in particular. They have 2 of the best cornerbacks in all of college football. One that's going to probably be tailored to be the first round pick.
Bryce Young.
We got Kobe Bryant for Cincinnati and then Ahmad Gardner, which they call the sauce.
Oh, you're talking about Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati. I was talking about
Alabama. Sorry.
And when we talk about Bama, they're the best of the best. They're getting 5-star recruits year after year. Their probably backup team can beat most of the teams around the country. They can probably just go put a whooping on. But I think what's interesting about like Fickell and his coaching is developing players. They don't really take into the account the heart of players and the tenacity that you can play with players. Now, will they be able to last the full game? That's going to be the big question. Is they're going to be able to? Bama's won games where they kill you slowly. They're going to put touchdowns up. They may not be high scoring, but they just won't have the offense.
Yeah, they don't have Jerry Jeudy. They don't have those type of receivers, and they don't really have. They've got explosive running backs. I've watched them play several times this year. And they're very good. I'm not discounting that at all. And if they're hitting on all cylinders and Cincinnati makes a few mistakes, it could be a blowout.
And let me bring you guys back to reality.
Bring me back. Bring us back.
I know he's going to be the realist. He's like Bama by 30, right?
Let me tell you, I think Cincinnati could play any one game early in the year against any team in America and do fairly well. I don't think when you've had the amount of time, when you've had the amount of time to plan, Alabama has always been able to rise to the occasion, and very seldom do they ever lose that. And they do have some amazing people: Bryce Young, Ja'Cory Brooks, John Mechie, JoJo
Mechie's
Earl.
out. Mechie's out. He's a knee injury. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, JoJo Earl is the freshman, is probably going to take his place then. JoJo Earl is an all-star. You're going to see, you can't win that many championships and not go in and think anything but we can win again.
But Larry, here's one. I didn't see them blowing out people week after week like they normally do. Normally, years past, you had your second team coming in there maybe halfway through the third quarter.
Yep.
They were just so dynamic. I don't think, and Bryce Young, he'll probably go pro after this year. I don't know if he can age-wise.
He can age-wise, but he'll stick around.
I think six right.
Yeah.
Very, very talented, but I've seen holes in his game. Right now, if I had to pick between him and Mac Jones, say Mac Jones back there, I'd be starting Mac Jones. People, well, I've watched him. I know flaws because I had too many of them in NFL. I can see the flaws when they're very strong competitor, very talented. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think they're as strong as they've been in the past, and I happen to think Cincinnati, who's had some really good teams, have probably their best team ever.
Oh, they do.
So I think Alabama.
Who's the best team Cincinnati beat?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
And
Notre
I
Dame.
believe they played Indiana. They were not picked to win either of those games.
Either of those things. You're
yeah.
right. And here's another thing. Flip it over here. If Alabama, I'll put it this way. If Alabama doesn't play their best game,
Then Cincinnati's got a chance.
I think where you're talking about mistakes at quarterback, and this is kind of where Larry is, like, you have these great receivers, but you have these great cornerbacks. And I think where the game always is played, a lot of people don't talk about it. It's not fancy. It's not glorious. Offense and defensive line. That's where it's going to be at. Because Bryce Young, he can pick defenses apart. We've seen it all year.
Is really tough.
Yeah, they're really, like, we saw it. That's why he's the Heisman winner. He could pick, he had 40 plus touchdowns this year because he could pick defenses apart.
4,400 yards.
Okay, we're really running out of time. I'm going to go. Okay, the second game, I don't know if it's the first game up or second game tomorrow, but Michigan, Georgia. Who do you like in there, man?
That's going to be a tough one. I know Guillermo I might have to pick Georgia just by
Guillermo's
default.
not gonna pick Michigan.
I know he's not going to pick Michigan, so I might
still
just
licking his wounds.
I know he's probably watching right now. He's like, he better
Guillermo's
not
a Michigan
pick.
State guy, folks. A graduate loves the Spartans.
Yeah, so I just think it's going to be a fun defensive matchup. I think it's going to be a lot of like ground and pound is what we've seen. My eyes have been more on, like I said, Cincinnati, Bama, just because it's kind of the underdog story. But I think just out of the station's sake, I think I'm going to take Georgia in this one.
Where do they not match up Michigan with Georgia? Now, defensively, the defensive line, this guy that was up for the Heisman, what's his name? That defensive end that's just an animal. Just like TJ Watt.
Blonde-headed kid.
Yeah, he's just unbelievable. But they got a great front four there and some good linebackers. What is Georgia's main strength? Their passing game or
defense?
So defensively, yes. Yeah. Offensively, what do they have?
I honestly, at least in terms of following the thing, I think I'm going to go with at least Georgia on this on the defensive side. I believe defense does win championships, and I think we'll see with Cincinnati and Bama. I believe if Cincinnati can come out and play defense in that game, they can win this thing. And I think with Michigan being their good side is their run game.
But look at this: the game they had to win was Alabama.
Yeah,
and Georgia didn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it, and every
what was
time.
The score of that game? Was it close? Or?
It was close, but Bama scores in the last part of the game. But think about this: everybody who has ever coached with Lou Saban has lost to Lou Saban.
Nick Saban,
excuse me. Nick Saban has lost to him time and time and time again. And there's an intimidation factor that's there.
I believe you're right. There is. There is.
I think they over-prepare. Now, I think it may be Michigan's time. That's the thing. They've had an amazing year. They're better than they were. I think Georgia's overrated some because if you can't beat a down Alabama and you had the best recruiting class, remember, Georgia had the top recruiting class coming into this year.
Right.
They had more 5 stars, more 4 stars than anybody. When you have that and you still can't beat Bama when they're down, Saban is an amazing coach.
Yeah. I think Michigan, their only chance of winning is if they control the football, the rushing game.
They're going to have to.
I don't think they're built to win a shootout with anybody. Their quarterback, McNamara, he's a good quarterback, solid quarterback.
Yep.
I just don't, if a team gets ahead of them 14 zip, 17 zip, or something like that.
Hard to come back.
It'd be hard to come back. On the flip side, Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, he did it at Stanford. He did it with the 49ers. He was a run first, established that run, and nobody establishes the run better than Jim Harbaugh, a Jim Harbaugh team. And they get up under the center, they go spread, they give them a variety of looks. And I think if they can, their rushing game can click and they get out of those, 2nd and 10s, 3rd and 8s, and 9 positions and are able to keep it a 2nd and 3 type deal.
Kirby Smart wants to win too bad. You can't want to win at that level because I think you prepare inappropriately. And you kind of get your guys to thinking. Now, you obviously have to have a high level of expectation, no doubt about that. But think about it. He's been in the semifinal game before, and he couldn't get through it. It just is it's a tough thing, and I think his team is a fantastic defensive team, but I don't think you can really win the national championship in college with just defense. Offense beats them. I mean,
John Madden would say the team with the most points wins the game, right? Isn't that his quote?
Pretty much.
That's a good pull there. All right, here it is on the table. Drum roll. We'll start with you, Larry. Who wins Cincinnati, Alabama?
Alabama.
And by what? Give us a score. I'm going to write it down.
I think they win by 13.
Okay, give me a score, though.
Probably 27.
27 to what?
Yeah. Well, now you're making me do math.
27.
27 to, I'll go to 14.
27-14. Matt White, who wins?
I'm going to go Cincinnati 24-21 game-winning field goal.
Oh, like it. GW field goal. I'm going to go.
What do you got, Alan?
Cincinnati 30-27. Cincinnati.
We got the 2 underdog picks, and Larry's like, I'm just going to come in. We're going to replay his clip.
All right. We got Georgia, Michigan. Larry?
I got Michigan by 7. And 21-14. I don't think Georgia can score on them as well as they think.
21-14.
And I think, by the way, I think the defense for Michigan is going to score at least 1 on a pick 6.
I think that defensive end is going to strip the quarterback.
He'll get a ball.
I just see it. I just see him coming in there and strip. And if they have to double team him.
Remember, he was up for the Heisman.
Yeah, no, he's
a good player.
He's legit. He's the best thing I've seen since TJ Watt.
Well, he's like Chase and
unbelievable.
Let's say 28-14. Let's go Georgia on this.
28-14.
Yeah.
Well, being the old underdog dude, Harbaugh, I'm going to go Michigan, and I'm going to go 2017. 2017 Michigan.
Yeah, that's a tough one because you don't know if it's like we were talking about defense, but you got to score points. So I just think whoever gets off to the quick start, if Michigan's be able to kind of use their run game, which has been their strength, to be able to dictate the game.
This playoff, I can't wait for it to be expanded to like 10 teams.
Yeah,
you need to have a real playoff to let some of these other Cinderella schools,
like Fresno State, could have a chance, right?
Exactly, have a chance.
Years.
Yeah, some of these non-Power 5 schools have a chance to come in and win it. But I like because I don't think you ever in this playoff thing see a team looking past to the next game. No. Even though how big the national champion, you
got to get there. So this is
and it's
critical.
easy to say, but I think because of the dynamics of the whole thing,
Yep.
they're all there. They're lazy. They're not looking. Alabama's not looking to who. I hope Michigan or Georgia wins, and I don't think they're looking past Cincinnati at all. And Cincinnati certainly isn't looking past Alabama.
Who was Michigan's best game this year? Ohio State.
Yeah.
And who was the best team in the country probably at that time?
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah. I think that's why they had to put them at 2. Yeah. I think they wanted to put Georgia at 2, really. Yeah, they said, how can we do this?
Couldn't.
Yeah, well, I think it's nice because I think the closest thing we ever had to kind of an underdog was Ohio State, if you think about it in the college football playoffs. So I am really excited if they can expand this and actually give some teams a shot.
Real quick, we're going to go to break real quick, not on our list here, but I just want your opinion. Very quick. Does Urban Meyer ever coach again?
America is pretty forgiving. I think he coaches again.
Matt White, is he coaching again?
I believe so. He didn't have a Chip Kelly type spell, but very similar. So I think he's going to go back to college.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm going to have to ask. I think he might be done. I think he might be done. But I hope he comes back forgiving if he does what needs to be done. And all right, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. We talk about a local boy, Derek Carr. Is Derek Carr really the answer as much as we love him? He's a personal friend of mine. Is he the man to take the Las Vegas Raiders to the promised land, to the Super Bowl? We're going to talk about that when we come back. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat with Larry Powell and Matt White. Don't you go anywhere. Come back.
For a man. Whoa, yes he did.
All right, we're ready anytime, Jose.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
Well, when you hear that music, Bad of the Bone, we usually are talking about China. So we're not going to know about Chinese football. They have American football in China?
Maybe in middle school. I don't know.
Be a good place for a franchise.
Too much American propaganda, right?
The NFL loves the CCP so much. Maybe they need a franchise in Beijing, man. Okay, it's got 15 minutes to go. This show, sports show. I'm loving this. Gosh, I'm loving this. Derek Carr, 30 years old now. Going to be 31 February next year. Been there. What was that, Matt? 9 years? Eight. 9 years?
It's been there a while.
8 years, 9 years.
I've got good stats. Every year he has pretty good stats. It just seems like he it's tough for him to get to that next level where when he gets the ball with maybe needing a field goal to win in the fourth quarter and you get the ball on the 20-yard line, you just know when Tom Brady has the ball, the game's over. You just know the minute 20, he's going to win the game. Pat Mahomes gets the ball, you just know you're going to win the game. Is Derek Carr, does he give across that same confidence? Because that's what you have to be in order to get to the Super Bowl. I watched John Elway take mediocre teams. Larry, you did too before your time.
Oh, I know some John Elway
I think
stuff,
I think he went to like 7 Super. He won 2.
Well, I think great player, in terms of GM and who he brings in at quarterback, that's a whole different story. But
right.
No.
Well, we're going to get to that because I want to be fair.
Sure.
I want to be fair to Derek because I love Derek. I think he's a great quarterback. But sometimes situations need to change for you to have a shot. But does he have the abilities that like Elway had to take mediocre teams to the Super Bowl? I think he's had some good teams with the Raiders. And we'd call them mediocre. But he doesn't seem at this point to be able to lift that mediocrity to a level that could get a Super Bowl. Am I way off? I'm going to get in trouble.
I think he does, but it's not going to be with the Raiders.
That's the question I was going to get next.
Yeah. I think he has the ability to do so. I know he knows he can play under pressure. And actually, I've watched him, Derek, this year. He's still mobile. He's able to make throws.
Very accurate.
But when you look about it, is how many head coaches have they had? Like 4 or 5 coaches in the past?
Right, they're going to have another one.
Yeah, they're going to have another one. People on his team getting into trouble, losing stuff. I know Henry Ruggs and the disaster and everything that happened this year. But like he needs the pieces in place to be able to win. But when you have coach after coach after coach, the culture is changing year after year after year. How are you supposed to go and compete for a Super Bowl?
And with the departure of Gruden, you as a quarterback are responsible for that culture. It becomes on you. Everybody's looking at you. They're not looking at the defensive captain, as important as that is. It's your quarterback to be that individual. And I'm like you. I think you put him over with 49ers. I think Garoppolo's gone. I think they're done with Garoppolo, broken wrist. They know he can't.
Well, Trey Lance is starting Sunday now. So.
Yeah, but Trey Lance, I'm just telling you, the kid's not ready. I can see not ready because I said I wasn't ready to NFL. He's the youngest guy, I believe, in the NFL. He's 20 years old. He's at least 3 or 4 years away. What a great person to learn under than Derek Carr. Derek Carr comes over there. You trade Garoppolo, what have you. You sign Derek to a new contract. And I think with that team, he has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't beat him to it, because Aaron Rodgers, I think, could end up either in New Orleans or San Francisco.
On Carr, though. In the last 5 years, where does Carr stand in game-winning in fourth quarter and overtime?
Probably pretty high.
4th.
Yes.
He's behind Brady, and then Cousins and Ryan. But he is way up there.
Well, again, okay, behind Cousins and Ryan. Yeah. 2 other quarterbacks who can't seem to don't seem to have the it with mediocre. even just good teams, not great teams.
Let's go to their defense.
I have some predictions, though.
Okay, well, this is my point.
Yeah.
How far away are the Las Vegas Raiders? He's going to be 31 years old. Do we actually see them in the Super Bowl in the next 3 or 4 years? I think there's so many.
I'm saying this is what I'm going to see is, okay, we talk about Aaron Rodgers this year. He's supposed to be traded away. I think Aaron Rodgers goes to the 49ers. Let's just throw it out there. Because if Trey Lance isn't ready.
I think that's a very good
He's a Bay Area kid.
Bay Area grew up. He didn't get drafted. They passed on him for Alex Smith in the draft. And they talk about kind of the regret there for Niner fans. So he goes there. And I know the Saints are looking for a quarterback. They asked Drew Brees to come out of retirement. I think you trade and get lots of picks. You load up. You start going into a rebuild. I think if you want to see the Raiders make the playoffs, they need to, I think, move on from Derek Carr. Goes to the Saints. And then also who's on the trade block? Devontae Adams. He's on the trade block. Aaron goes to the 49ers.
You get Adams.
Yeah, you get Adams. And I think you bring him in and you reunite him. And I think he wins a Super Bowl, but it'll be with a different team. And I'm thinking that might be like a New Orleans. And you have Sean Payton to back that.
Yeah.
So,
well, whatever Devontae Adams does, I think Rodgers does. They're tied at the hip. And I think they'll both go to the same place.
And don't get me wrong, fellas. There's nothing wrong. I think Derek would say the same thing. I think Derek thinks he's a really good quarterback. But I don't think Derek thinks he can do the things that Aaron Rodgers can do. Or that he's like the bionic man like Brady. You got to know your limitations. You can be a very great quarterback. Brett Favre was a great quarterback. But he'd be the first one to say, I'm not as good as that guy. He would say that. I'm as good as I can be. He's a very good quarterback. I think he just needs, like Larry says, more help around him. So a really great quarterback, guys like Elway, they only come around once in a while. Mahomes, their ability to scramble. I happen to disagree with Favre. I think he was one of those guys that just had, and I just think for Derek, I want to see him to get a ring so bad.
That'd be
and
great.
He says, I want to be a Las Vegas Raider forever. And I don't want to go anyplace. I'm thinking they're going, oh my gosh.
And what would you think if they re-signed Devontae, Aaron goes to the 49ers, and say Devontae gets a big extension, kind of like a Mahomes type extension where they're like, I can't pass up on the money. I'm with Green Bay. Get reunited with your college quarterback, Derek Carr, who was unstoppable at Fresno State. Yeah. I think that's even a possibility is Derek Carr. I just don't think he's going to be a Las Vegas Raider.
Well, look at the deal, too. They have to make a decision, the Las Vegas Raiders.
His
contract's up.
There's a lot of decision makings, and then
are they going to sign him to a max contract saying, this is our guy?
You know, it's nice to have gotten $125 million, so he has some choices too.
Yeah, but then you got Pittsburgh, Big Ben retiring.
That'd be another good place for him.
Yep, you have that. Russell Wilson, he's looking at an extension, but they don't know yet.
Yeah.
So I think Russell Wilson could wind up in San Francisco as well.
As good
I think he would be a great.
As good as Tom Brady was and is. What did he have in New England?
Belichick.
And defense.
Yes, he did. But Belichick was a defensive guy.
Yeah. And those times when he didn't play good years, literally years, they won. But the defense was the deal.
Imagine Carr in a Patriots jersey.
It doesn't seem right.
I know. It just doesn't seem right.
Keep
him West Coast.
Well, it was like seeing Brett Favre in those Viking helmet. It's like, gosh, that's just
or Joe Montana in a Kansas City jersey, right?
That was right.
Yeah. So that's what's questionable.
How about Alan Autry in Las Vegas Raiders? Yeah.
Oh, I know, right?
But Alan Autry in a Speedo.
Do you think? And Alan,
you want to unsee that?
And Alan, I got a question for you.
I don't know why I said that.
I don't either.
I don't either. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Alan, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers going.
I'm a swimmer. But you know that I'm a swimmer.
You mentioned Aaron Rodgers going to the 49ers. I think maybe Aaron Rodgers. I think it's dictated on how he finishes the season. Wouldn't you want to go out on top?
Well,
he's tagged to be the MVP, possibly Super Bowl
2 times in a row.
But he has zero chance of coming back. They win the Super Bowl or not, he's gone. He's 88 now.
Yeah.
And I agree with. I think it'll be where the 49ers want to meet his fiscal demands. And if Aaron Rodgers says, you know what, I want to be a Brady. I want to play into my 40s.
Right.
If he tells them that. Because he's going to have to tell them.
He's going to have to give them 3 to 5 years.
Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or they won't.
Why would you invest in that?
Exactly. Unless you really felt strongly that Trey Lance is maybe just a year away. And I'm just telling you guys, the kid is further away than people think. The 49ers understand that because they're going to spoon feed him, let him continue to grow.
Yep.
20 years old. Come on, you can come into the NBA and kill it at 20 or 18 like Kobe and LeBron. Different sport.
It's a one-man show in the NBA.
Well, you got too many things. You got to be a human computer.
Yeah.
You got to be disciplined, and you've got
to be a leader.
And he's obviously a great leader, but he's a kid. You know, he's going to only study so
Kids make mistakes.
Make mistakes, and is he ready to turn off the Nintendo, the Madden, if you will, game, and study game film for 4 or 5 hours a night
every day?
Yeah.
Every day.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a tough because then you look at the rest of the division. Like it's a tough division. Even I know with possibly Russell still being there. I know Matt Stafford. This is kind of the all-in Rams year, but there's still a lot of talent there. The rest of the division.
I think they're a dangerous team to go all the way.
Yeah. So I believe so too, and I think they're getting on fire at the right time, and they don't even have half their starters in.
And who's getting back in Arizona?
Oh yeah,
that's out. You know?
Right. Yeah. So I know DeAndre Hopkins
because they have not played well since DeAndre's been gone, and then J.J. Watts.
Do you think they're a contender or are they a pretender?
Well, I'll tell you, I've got to give that quarterback once again. It goes back to the quarterback, and he's a playmaker.
Yeah,
he's quick.
They're real. Then
who's that?
And I'm saying then they're for real.
Yeah.
Well, I think too. The Chiefs. I think they're.
You know, the best thing about the Chiefs
being the Chiefs that we remember.
Mahomes disciplined himself enough not to be the key player.
A good point.
He backed off, stopped throwing those no-look passes, stopped throwing those long down the field passes, started playing within himself and within the context of the team. And boy, they went to 8 wins in a row now?
Yep.
Okay, real quick, switch gears to here at home. Can Tedford bring Fresno State to the next level?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Bringing John Baxter in was one of the best moves I've ever seen.
It's great to see John Baxter back. Huh? Now, what was this? He going to be special teams or just special teams?
Yeah, I think so. But, he recruits like crazy, and so does Tedford. So you've got 2 amazing recruiters.
And they can talk.
And I think it's interesting is when he had his first tenure, he went for young and upcoming talent. We saw DeBoer, going out to Washington. I think this is a fun statistic, as you say, bringing coaches back.
Yep.
Combined 100.
Hold on just 1 second. Facebook folks, when we talk about Tedford, sorry, we got real local on you here. Jeff Tedford is the coach, former coach of Fresno State. Our coach, Kalen DeBoer, left, went to Washington, and they're bringing Jeff Tedford back. Go, Matt.
193 years in college football in terms of experience and 36 years in professional of coaching. So they're bringing experts in.
They absolutely are. And experts who can relate.
But can they stay awake during the whole practice?
Oh yeah. And most of them have very much ties back to
lots of coffee.
There's Starbucks.
they got to deal with Starbucks.
They're taking the caffeine pills, right?
But
I love Baxter. I love Tedford. Give him credit.
If you say, do you think they can win the Mountain West? And if I ask you that, and you say it all depends. I'm gonna just walk out the studio.
I'm not going there, Alan.
Yeah. Oh my God! Do they have any young coaches?
Yeah, honestly, right. I'm trying to remember.
Kelly Skipper, aren't they bringing him back?
Yeah,
relatively young compared to these guys.
Compared to the guy, hey, Andy Reid's up there. You look at Belichick. I'm not being ageist. Is that a thing? But
shoot, Alan, come on. I think they still need a defensive line coach or something, or offensive line.
I'll just give them my highlight film of the Green Bay Packers. Make it show it to the whole team and say, "Don't do that." My highlight film is about 2 minutes long. But I think he's the right guy. I really do, and I just pray for good health. And I don't because I was concerned, but I'm thinking Jeff Tedford had enough.
He had heart surgeries, doing great.
And he was pragmatic enough to know, I need to step away. So
Smart.
he knew to step away, listen to his body. And so I think he's got, with his doctors, he said, I can handle this and probably handle it in a way much more healthy than he maybe has in the past, because a lot of these coaches like to micromanage everything.
He's not a sit on the sideline guy, though.
Right? Yeah. No, he's not.
He's gonna go.
But you get a guy like Baxter. It makes sense. Baxter can do a lot of that you're
absolutely.
And I think
from making that 10th call to that recruit.
Yes.
Maybe you make 5, but John can make the other 5.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the culture. Most of these guys go back to either Sweeney or Pat Hill. they have previous experiences with the Fresno State program, and I think that's a big thing is the culture that you have here. It's a very it's like valley bred, you know.
Don't you wish Pat had come off the sidelines?
Yeah. Hey, they're still looking for another coach, you know.
Well, I think he's happy with his life now. He's got
a good life.
He's just a community treasure.
He's a good guy.
I love the man. I you just said right over there. I hope they bring him on as at least a consultant.
I got to tell you, this old man, when Fresno State had a golf tournament out at Copper River, they had a best on the par 3 beat the coach. Pat Hill was out there. This old man, Larry Powell, beat the coach.
Did you?
I told him, listen, the key to it is, folks, you may remember I have polio and wear a brace on the right leg. I said, the key to good golf is a straight right leg.
Well, on that, folks, we got to say goodbye. We won't be here Friday. We'll be doing a rerun, but please tune in and heading to the new year. Can't leave without wishing you all and your family a prosperous new year. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless America, and we'll see you next year. Bye-bye now. Facebook folks, thanks for tuning in. Love you so much. And January 3rd, we'll be doing the next live show.